Again, the small business now. Now, government currently has a total debt stock of 205.5 billion Ghana cedis hanging on its neck. The International Monetary Fund at the just ended IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C. has cautioned government on the rising trend. But what exactly that these debt jargons mean? Philip Namfuri breaks it down.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Joy Business, breaking it down with me, Philip Namfuri. When we talk about government guaranteeing debt, what exactly do we mean? That's our focus for this segment and this discussion today. Now, anytime an entity within the economy, let's call it a state-owned enterprise, whichever one you want to call it, goes out to borrow a loan, sometimes the financial institutions require them to guarantee these loans. So you more often than not hear that government has guaranteed some debt of an entity, or let's take even the most recent Ghana Amalgamated Trust, the GAT. And we heard that the government was going to guarantee the funds that the pension funds were going to advance to GAT to give to the banks that were distressed or couldn't meet their minimum capital requirement. Now, when government guarantees a debt, all government is saying is that if the entity, for example, Philip is an entity going to borrow from a financial institution, and the financial institution requires me to guarantee that debt, government will come in and take that up. So that if I fail to pay, government will step in and make that payment to the entity. Now, some argue that when government guarantees a lot of debt in the economy, it feeds into our public debt, which stands at about 205 billion Ghana cedis plus. Now, you may be wondering what the difference between a collateral and a guarantee is. Let me try and make it a bit simple. A collateral is a good or an asset which you would advance towards a debt that you have failed to pay. So let's assume I go to a bank to borrow. I'll use my car, my house, my land documents as collateral, so that in the event I fail to pay, the bank will use that, sell it off, and take the money which I owe them. But a guarantee, more or less, is if I sign in a document and I say, okay, so my colleague Karen Dodo has taken a loan, I, Philip Namfuri, I am signing. In case Karen doesn't pay back, I will step in and make good Karen's promise to the bank. So that's essentially the difference between a collateral and a guarantee. But government guarantees are good. They provide some comfort to investors, to financial institutions, to lend money and invest in the economy and even give money to entities. But it becomes a burden when they become too much and they form parts, or in the event that an entity fails to pay back, government has to step in and make that payment. Then it goes into the public debt. The public debt is divided into two main parts. Domestic debt, where government borrows from within the Ghanaian economy, and external debt. And then with the external debt, we can borrow from multilateral creditors, bilateral creditors, export credit agencies. We can borrow from the international capital markets. That's where we take our bonds, etc. from. And a range of sources. And even we can borrow from other international banks. That's one, we call it commercial credit. So government borrows domestic and external. But sometimes there is a need for them to guarantee some debts that some entities go for. And that's when government will step in, literally, and do this guarantee for them. So government guarantees, yes, necessary, but if we don't watch it properly, it may go out of hand, feed into our public debt, and which will obviously affect you and I in the long run, because when we have a lot of debt, a lot of our revenue goes into paying back these debts, leaving very little for capital expenditure, the tangible infrastructure projects we so desire to see. So that's essentially it for today's edition of Joy Business, breaking it down. Have a good one. Bye.
And that was Philip Namfuri breaking it down, the debt jargons. The premise of yet another defunct fund management company, Nordea Capital, was this morning besieged by customers to demand their investments. The aggrieved customers say all attempts to retrieve their monies over a year now have proven futile, as management of the company are nowhere to be found. Abraham Ohene is a customer.
We've come here as a group to find out what has happened to our funds. For over a year, we haven't had any communication, no dividend payments, and we can't get access to our funds. And the worst, I mean, like I said, the worst thing is that the MD of the company doesn't respond to anybody. So we've come here today to meet whoever is here, find out exactly where our deposits, our monies are, so that we can agree on a direction as to how we can retrieve our funds.
For how long have you saved with this company?
Over a year. my certificate expired in May. But from last September, they haven't been able to pay any dividend. From last September right through to the term of the investment, which was a year, and then up to now, my funds are still there and no money has been paid. With the group together, from the loose talk that everybody is saying, it's in the millions of cedis. Regular investment, you are giving an annual dividend. You put it's bulk money, you're giving an annual dividend which can be paid at the end of the term or monthly. Now, for most of the people here, they are people who have worked for their money and they've put their monies there so that they can get a little bit of money at the end of every month to support whatever they earn to do their business or support their families and do whatever they need to do, which is this is exactly what I was doing. And most of these people haven't been able to receive any of these dividends. They can't get access to their money to do any business whatsoever, and they can't get any information as to where their money is.
Have you organized yourself to meet with SEC, the regulatory body?
From here, our intention is to go to SEC and also find out. Some of us have already complained to SEC with no response from SEC.
And that's all in business tonight on JoyNews Prime. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We have here the small news when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Look at me.